The Dubbing King software, a comprehensive audiovisual translation (AVT) software for Windows. The Dubbing King software caters for various audiovisual translation (AVT) modes. It is used for subtitling, translation, and the dubbing processes. A synopsis on language translation. If someone came to you and asked you what you know about translation services, I'm sure most of you could only state what exactly they do and try to go further by explaining what translation is, but there are a lot of things you don't know about translation services. A professional translation service provider is one that is able to offer translation for most important languages, if not all. I put importance in quotes because in this case important is relative. These service providers have a way of making you believe that you really need their services without even trying to think twice. The industry that offers translation services is important, and it has proved its importance from time and time again. This industry has proven to be useful, resourceful, and sprightly in situations that are rather dull and boring. Translation services are all around you, and chances are out of 100 people in a room you would not miss over 5 people who do translation professionally and others who have tried it but ended up not sticking through with it. This usually happens. Translation is also not as easy as it sounds, and there are a lot of rules and regulations that go into ensuring that the translated content comes out as perfect as possible. Interesting facts about language translation. Below I will name 2 interesting facts that you didn't know about translation and everything that revolves around this word. Translation prowess to extreme. This is actually very true. When you hear someone say they work from home, most times people would conclude that person is lying and they are jobless and looking for a fancy way to justify that they have a job. A lot of translators work from home. These are the people who sit at home in front of their computers all the time and not even care about how they look, because who really cares how they look if they don't have to leave the house and further work on 300,000 to 1 million words a year or even more depending on where they work. This is a kind of prowess that needs to be respected in the greater spectrum of things. The next time you judge a translator by his or her looks, think of the entire great translation prowess they have. There's so many translators and professional ones at that. There are so many they can even fill a whole town. I don't exactly know why people have made this conclusion, but there are a lot of translators out there working on different projects, and one thing to note is that all of them are actually certified. According to the recent survey, there are over 300,000 certified translators and translation companies. That is enough to fill a whole town, people, so do not go around thinking there are not enough translators for any translation work you would have. I never understand when companies complain that they have large projects which would need the prowess and willpower of a lot of translators, but they end up not getting enough translators. Unless these companies go round looking for freelance translators for contractual jobs to underpay them, then I'm here to let you all know that there are too many translators out there, as mentioned on my point above, enough to fill a whole town. Just think about it. You might sit there thinking everybody knows English. There is no need to translate documents from the English language to other foreign languages, but the reality of the matter is that English is one of the most translated languages, and this can even be proven considering the fact that according to a research, the languages that are mostly translated into other languages are English, French, German, Italian, and Russian. Now you know people really have no business with the English language, and if they could get their native languages, they would be happy. In the world of translation, there are specific languages that are usually worked on more than any other language. This is because these languages reach more people in the world compared to others. These languages are French, Spanish, German, and Japanese. Just like the English language, these languages will eventually be spoken widely. Do you know those people who love reading everything from professional documents to novels to cookbooks, and so on and so forth? Yes, those people are German and French. These 2 language groups have been for the longest time what has been the most translated languages out there. From the beginning of time in the 21st century, translators have been translating a lot of books and novels to French and German. This only means there is more French and German translation out there. If you are those people who claim that the English to Arabic translation you needed was not done perfectly, then you really are part of a bigger problem. Most times they complain that the translator did not use the correct punctuation, and what everyone needs to understand is that Arabic and English have the same punctuation marks. Yes, they do. Even though they don't have any common roots, they have the same punctuation system. So next, go easy on the poor translator. Whoever lied to people that the Chinese language doesn't have punctuations lied a great deal, because now everyone thinks it doesn't have punctuations, when in real sense translators have been trying hard to make it known to the public at large that it does. The Chinese language has punctuation marks, and the quality of translation services have been trying to make the world see the light for a very long time. Vowels are really the hardest thing to translate. This becomes the case when translators have to convert them into a vowel-free language. There are languages like Arabic, Amharic, Hebrew, and Tigrinya which have no vowels. Translating to this language is always a hassle for translators. So words like facetious or abstemious are words that would cause World War III for translators if they had to translate them to the aforementioned languages. You would think just because someone is a professional, everything work-related will be as easy as ABC, but what you need to know is that there are languages that are just super hard to translate too. There are those languages easy to translate and translators usually have a breeze with them, but then when they meet with the hard one it becomes a hassle translating them and making sure they turn out as perfect as possible with no errors. Some of the most difficult languages in the world include Arabic, Hungarian, Japanese, Finnish, Korean, Navajo, Icelandic, Basque, Polish, and Chinese. So next time you are getting something translated into one of these languages, give some breathing room to the translator. He knows what he is doing. Because English is a native language for many people, you might think it's the easiest language to translate, but that's very wrong. There are easier languages to translate than the English language. According to most translators with years of experience, Spanish is the easiest language to translate to or from. This is because in Spanish everything is written as it sounds, which makes it the easiest language to learn and translate. You can find very little grammatical irregularities in the Spanish language, and this is the reason people prefer Spanish to many international languages. Believe it or not, an example: you see how there are words you find difficulties in pronouncing the English language regardless of you being a native speaker. There are some words in other foreign languages hard to pronounce and also to translate. Imagine a translator who is not a native speaker trying to translate these words into a language that is not his/her first language. There is no way you expect someone to translate a word like Manning, which is Portuguese, into the English language, or the word Kakumama. Please respect the art that is translation people go through the most. Regarding my first fact where I mentioned a translator being able to translate up to 1 million words in a year regardless of how tiresome and wanting this job may be, translators are still some of the least paid people. This job is not well paying at all because it's really not taken as a serious profession that companies can invest in and reap benefits in the long run. The average salary of a translator ranges between $22,311 and $38,000 per annum. The most experienced translators can earn between $79,000 and $80,431 per annum. The translation industry is one that can be lucrative if tapped into and taken by big organizations. Written by Winnie Murao Biso. Other posts.